Hey everybody, it's Andy from Lucky Paper, back with another draft. You know how we do. This time we are playing the cube of a member of my local playgroup, which is called Recruited Revelry. And the shtick of this cube is that every creature has power or toughness 2 or less, which sounds kind of confusing, but I think the best way to think of it is as Max describes it here. Any of the creatures in the cube can be gotten by either Imperial Recruiter or Recruiter of the Guard, which is a nice way to describe it. I think, unless it's changed, the only exception to this is Revelark. Let's see if Revelark is still in here. No, it looks like Revelark's been cut, so I guess that rule is hard and fast now. There are a couple of other custom rules here. Still waiting on a couple more for this draft. The other custom rules, there are a few things that have been eroded to a Rebel, which we can see here tagged in green and with custom art uploaded. And then there are also a couple of draft packages in the form of your stuff like Squadron Hawk. You get a couple of your Squadron Hawks if you draft Squadron Hawk, etc. And that's pretty straightforward. I think this cube, I've only played it a couple times, and I think it's a good example of the perhaps counterintuitive fact that a cube with a lot of cheap and small creatures actually plays very slow and grindy. I think these games very rarely come down to tempo and pretty much always come down to card advantage and who has the best spells and removal. I've only played it a couple times, so, that's liable to change. I could be wrong, but that's my initial impression of it. And so I'm going to be looking for stuff that will allow me to go big into the late game as my primary pulls into specific color combinations. I also do rate these draft packages very highly. The Rebel deck, I have never pulled off myself. They're really all just here for those who don't know the Rebel mechanic. There's a mechanic from Mercadian Masks. Oh, excuse me, this morning I got a little bedhead going on. This cycle of creatures that can search for a Rebel with greater mana value from your deck and put it into play. And they all have this activated ability where you pay some number and tap it, and the number you pay is always more than the mana value of the Rebel you're getting. The only exception being the bomb rare of the cycle, Lyn Sivy, where you can just pay X, tap Lyn Sivy, and go search your library for a Rebel with mana cost X. If I get an early Lyn Sivy, I will for sure go that direction. I'm not afraid. But otherwise, I don't see another big pool into being in the Rebel deck. But it could be cool if we can make it work. I really like that the designer here has included some of these colorless cards as Rebels. So, Scrapwork Mutt in a deck that doesn't have red mana, kind of not that appealing. But if it's a deck that doesn't have red mana, but does have a bunch of Rebels that can go fetch up Scrapwork Mutt, a lot more appealing. So I like that. I think that's pretty cool. Let's see. Looks like we got everybody here. So we're just waiting for this draft to fire, and we'll see what we can do. I don't know. Gotta stay hydrated. Hydration is key. All right. We are off to the races. The things that jump out at me immediately are Lightning Bolt, Squadron Hawk, and let me read this Warhammer 40k card. Let the Galaxy Burn, X5R. So already not that interested in this. Cascade, X plus 2 damage to each creature that didn't enter the battlefield this turn. That's kind of a huge bomb. So for 6 mana, it cascades for 6, and you get a random card out of your deck, probably a really cheap one, and then deal Pyroclasm to everything. I'm not going to take that highly. So the question here is, Lightning Bolt I think is a big bomb here. I mean, it's great. The question is, does Squadron Hawk beat it out? And I actually can't remember how many Squadron Hawks we get if we take Squadron Hawk. Let's see if it tells us here. 2 additional copies at the end of the draft. So... 2 additional copies. I'm going to play it safe and stick with Bolt. It's going to remove almost anything in this entire cube, so I'm going to stick with that. We are drafting on Cube Cobra because of the custom Rebel cards, which have custom images uploaded, so fingers crossed we don't have any issues with that. Okay. This pack, the things jumping out at me are Saddle Rhymestag, if I want to be a little more aggressive, and a 4/4, which this will be on turns where I've played a creature, is going to be bigger than almost everything else in the entire cube. And then Seasons Past is, if I said I wanted to be grindy, this would be what I would take. If I was really sticking by my initial statement, Seasons Past is the look. Oh, man, it'd be so cool to draft Seasons Past deck. I don't think it's right, But I'm going to do it. I'm taking Seasons Pass. I think it's a really fun card. I'm going for it. So now what I really want to pair with Seasons Pass, just so we can say it out loud, is I want a spread of removal spells and threats across a wide variety of mana values, especially removal spells, stuff that's going to hit the yard automatically. You know, if you have a bunch of permanents in play and you draw your Seasons Pass late game, it might not be that good, but it's really good if you've had stuff that has died or otherwise been sent to the graveyard. So I already have a 1-mana spell. I'm not going to, the mana value is not super important, but I'm going to be looking at it. So here I'm looking at just an Avacyn's Judgment, I think, as another good removal spell over an Elvish Visionary and Spirited Companion. Elvish Visionary because it's on color probably. So we're just going to do that. Really just hoping to get a spread of removal spells. So my plan can be remove all your stuff, and then Seasons Pass becomes a draw 3, 4, 5 good spells inevitability engine is what I'm going to go for here. I've never seen someone draft this deck in this cube. I know there is a Life from the Loam deck, which I tried to draft once and did not really succeed in, but it was fun to lose, I guess. One of the big downsides of the Cube Cobra draft is in addition to being a little buggy and sometimes just crashing in the middle, you have no idea what the status of the draft currently is because you can't see the other seats, who's got packs, so you don't know if it's crashed in the middle. Okay, good. Still going here. Now we have cards like Brainstorm, Collective Brutality, Curiosity. What does this card do? Whenever one more creatures with base power and toughness 1/1 enter the battlefield under your control, put a +1/+1 counter on a Best Soul Nourisher. Whenever Best attacks other creatures, so it's a 1/1 tribal card. It's kind of interesting. This Dredge card, I guess, theoretically works in my Seasons Past deck, kind of. You don't want to dredge over Seasons Past. That is bad. I think Brainstorm is the best card here. I do think that Curiosity effects have a high ceiling in this environment if you can keep the board clear, which I intend to be doing. I'm not in blue yet. Collective Brutality is a discard spell for Avacyn's Judgment. Let's take Collective Brutality. I really liked Collective Brutality. It's a good spell. All right, now we have... So if we're looking at being Jund Seasons Past, then I don't think Fetid Pools is a super high pick. We're looking at a Burst Lightning or a Jaya's Greeting here, probably. Yeah. Or I guess Atrax's Skitterfang is a Rebel. Doesn't fit on the type line. That's funny. Remove Archon from it. Flying the... Yeah, no, that's not that high of a ceiling. I'm going to take Burst Lightning here. All right, now I think we just have to take Hissing Quagmire. We're going to need to fix some mana. I mean, it'd be cool to get Grapple with the Past. We could honestly wheel that. That's not out of the question, I don't think. But I got to take Hissing Quagmire. Fixing is going to be important in this deck. All right, now we have Basilica. So I will take a half-color bounce land because I'm trying to get to 6 to cast Seasons Past, which is something. Soulbright Flamekin. Last Gasp is also just more good removal. Let's take more removal. I mean, we're just removal tribal right now, and removal tribal with Seasons Pass on the top end is something I'm pretty happy with, to be honest. This pack is not great. It doesn't have anything for us if we're actually sticking to Jund, except for, I guess, Vivian's Arcbow, which we are not going to be a creature-heavy deck, so I don't like that. We could have some outs to play like 5-color if I take this Caves of Koilos. I think that's the best look, is just take some more fixing lands at this point. That was not a good pack for us, though. Didn't love it. Did not love it. Just checking all the various places where we're drafting to make sure everyone is still doing okay. Conversations going on in multiple places. All right, yeah, everyone's still good. We got Let the Galaxy Burn back. Other people didn't want to read that card either, I guess. Edgar's Awakening. Card a creature. When you discard, I was waiting to pay to so you can... That's actually kind of interesting. That's a cool discard matters card. I mean, right now I only have Collective Brutality as a discard outlet, but this basically has Madness becomes a Raise Dead, or you can hard cast it as a Zombify. Or we just take this Let the Galaxy Burn. I mean, if we're trying to go big... The thing is, this Cascade is just going to hit some stupid spell in this deck. It's not going to be any good. None of these spells are that good for us. This is, I guess, the highest ceiling. It's kind of cool. I don't really think I'm going to be playing it. All right, so I really do like getting a Yavimaya Cradle of Growth, but then Tormod the Desecrator, one or more cards leave your graveyard. Okay, it's one or more, so it's only going to trigger once on a single casting of Seasons Past. So I'm going to take this Yavimaya Cradle of Growth, which will let me cast my Seasons Past, even if I'm not a heavy green deck at all. Yeah, none of this stuff is good enough for me to just not take over a bounce land, so I think we're having some outs here to be like a heavy many-colored deck. Mindless Automaton is kind of interesting in a deck like this. That one doesn't really do a whole lot for me. It's put into your hand or graveyard. You gain 2 life. Dredge 2. So dredging is good if I have Seasons Past in my hand, and if I end up with a Life from a Loam deck. I'm just going to take this Mindless Automaton, I think. The first card so far that can actually kill my opponent that I've drafted. None of these are likely to see play here. I guess that one mills stuff, but yeah, I'm probably not playing that either. All right, Grapple with the Past. You can't return spells to your hand, so I really don't want to flip over my Seasons Past. That's going to be a huge bummer. Jeez. I'm going to take it, though, because I might end up... Like, the other things that are going to work with Seasons Past are going to also work with Grapple with the Past. Like, these are kind of like 2 different enablers for different sides of the same set of cards. Really interesting draft so far. I don't know if it's good, but we're going to have fun, and that's all that really matters. Now, please don't have this draft break. I'm feeling bad about the fact that we're not seeing a loading indicator up here. Please don't break. Please don't break. Yeah-oh. Oh, oh, oh. Okay, I thought it was breaking, but then it loaded. We're fine. We're good. All right. Here. I really like this Fiery Temper. Just edging out, I think, Manamorphose. Fungal Infection, also fine. Also, honestly, like, Maskwood Nexus is the kind of thing that this deck would like as a win condition, because I'm just going to be slow and grindy and removing all my opponent's stuff. And none of the individual creatures with such small power and toughness are going to be really good enough to carry the whole deck, I don't think. So maybe we wheel this Maskwood Nexus, and that can be like our primary win condition. I guess we could also burn our opponent out. I mean, we have a lot of burn spells so far. So, Copperline Gorge. I think I have to take Fixing here. I mean, Mending of Dominaria. Again, that's kind of a combo with Seasons Past, but also kind of a non-bow. I'm taking the Fixing to punt on the decision of what I'm supposed to draft there. Let's get this over here. Fixing is coming along okay. We're not playing these blue cards yet, I don't think. Glimpse the Cosmos is a combo with Maskwood Nexus. I think we are playing Let the Galaxy Burn at this point. It's like a board wipe. Ooh. Exploration in our removal tribal deck is kind of interesting. What else we got here? Lava Brink Floodgates. Each player's upkeep made Doom 6 damage each creature. Okay, so that's fine. Reap the Past is good, I think. It's kind of like redundancy for Seasons Past, but definitely not as good, and you can't loop it forever. I think it's between Exploration and Reap the Past for me here. I kind of think Exploration will have a high ceiling. The thing is, you really want to be playing a lot of just raw card draw for Exploration, so you can advantage yourself by drawing into more lands and playing them repeatedly. And I think our deck is going to be mostly 1-for-1 removal with these big top end spells. So I'm going to take Redundancy for Seasons Past in Reap the Past instead. Terminal Agony is the kind of card I love to see here. We can effectively cast it for 2, but it's a 4-drop to get back with Seasons Past. That's pretty sick. We're not doing Grinning Ignis or Ruination Raider or Yisan things. There's no fixing lands for us. Once in Future... Yeah, we're taking Terminal Agony. Agony, I think, is pretty good. Put this down here in the 2-drop slot. It's also cool, by the way, that we can kill our own Mindless Automaton to Seasons Past it back. Like, we can just put it in the graveyard pretty much whenever we want, pretty much. Gigapede, 6/1 Shroud. I can just keep getting Gigapede back. It's kind of interesting. Demonic Pact eventually kills me. It's pretty sick. Goblin Arsonist or Merciless Javelineer. Discard a card, put a -1/-1 my card. That creature can't block this turn. Thing is, like, I'm going to have so few creatures. This is just going to be a lightning rod for their removal, which is why I think I like Gigapede here. Let's get a Gigapede going. All right. There's Life from Alone, which I think kind of brings the deck together, kind of. I mean, I'm passing up on a Fabled Passage for it. Pyromancer's Goggles is also actually kind of sick in this deck with all of these burn spells. Like, that actually makes looping my library with Seasons Past a real win condition, because I just copy all these burn spells to their face. Avacyn's Judgment, Lightning Bolt, Burst Lightning, Fiery Temper, Let the Galaxy Burn. Huh? Copy Let the Galaxy Burn? I guess you don't get a second Cascade trigger, so it's actually not that good. Oh, this is a really hard choice. I think I'm going to try to wheel either Life from Alone or Pyromancer's Goggles. I have no ways to put lands in my graveyard. Like, there's no fetch lands, I don't think, in this cube, except for this Fabled Passage. So I think it might come back, and if it does, I'll take one of those two. But I'm not going to take it highly. All right, Satyr Wayfinder we definitely want. This, again, is kind of a nombo with Seasons Past, though it's kind of... I would love to have a couple more just like ways to get a single spell back from my graveyard so I could reliably mill cards over but get back exactly the Seasons Past. Could also just take Ickerslick. It's got Cycling, it's got Madness, and it's removal. I'm taking that. Taking removal. The Satyr Wayfinder is much more likely to come back around than that Ickerslick is. Similarly, I think I'm going to take Fatal Push here, edging out Containment Construct. Containment Construct is cool in this deck. I do have some discard outlets, but I also, it's going to be a Lightning Rod for removal. Basking Root Walla, I maybe play here too, honestly. Could be kind of fun. All right, back to our first pack we opened. Now we're looking at stuff like Thorns, Thunderscape, Battlemage. Let's see. Discard 2 cards from their hand. Destroy target enchantment. So it can be a 5-mana 2/2 that unburdens my opponent. What's the iconic unburden? The first one. The one that doesn't have cycling. I can't remember. Another creature is better than your control. Yeah, that's not it. So I guess we just take this, which at the very... I mean, what is this again? I think it's Battle Mage. We're probably not going to play it, but let's take it. Okay, so we did get the Mending back. I think we take Mending here. The top 2 cards of your library in your graveyard may return a creature card from your graveyard to your hand. So this also does not recur Seasons Past. But at the end, it shuffles all land cards from your graveyard into the battlefield, shuffles the rest into your library. I'm going to take Mending. I think that card could possibly get there. Let's see. So I guess we either take Razor Verge Thicket to possibly splash a white card, which I don't hate, or this Lava Brink Floodgates. Let me read this one more time. It's a 4-mana mana rock that taps for 2. That's not nothing. At the beginning of each player's upkeep, that player may put a Doom counter on Lava Ring Floodgates or remove a Doom counter from it. Then if it has 3 more Flood counters on it. So basically, we both have to agree we want to wipe the board, which is never going to happen. So I should kind of just ignore all that text and treat it as a 4-mana mana rock. I'm taking Razorverge Thicket. Slaughterhorn. Once in Future. Okay, this is cool. I like Once in Future. This is a way to get back Seasons Past if I mill it over. So now all we have to do is wheel that Satyr Wayfinder. I think we will. Come on. It wasn't this pack. It was like the next one. Got the Life from Loam back. That's something. Javelin we might actually play. That we're not going to play. I mean, it's technically... Yeah, we're not going to play that. Let's be real. All right, these cards are all sideboard cards right now, at the very least. Bare minimum. I really want more self-mill. I didn't get the State of Wayfinder back. That's a bummer. I do have Grapple at the pass. So ways to actually put lands in the graveyard. I have Grapple. I have discard spells in the form of Collective Brutality. I guess not. Mindless Automaton can discard stuff. This is a discard outlet, a really slow one. All right, it took a while to load pack 3, but it eventually did load. So I'm optimistic that things are going to work out for us. Maybe it's just thinking really hard. So, all right, good. Here we go. So, another Fabled Passage. That gives me 2 with my Life from Loam. Oh, Urza Saga, though? Urza Saga. This is not an Urza Saga deck right now, but boy, oh boy. That's a land that bins itself for Seasons Pass, because you can't get a 0 mana value spell, right? Any number of cards different mana cost. So that's 0. So I make 2 constructs, it bins itself, and then I get it back and make 2 constructs again and just make infinite constructs. That is a really, really, really safe win condition. Like, the only thing that loses to is counterspell on my Seasons Pass, and this is not a counterspell heavy environment. I think that's got to be better than a Fabled Passage. I'll give this Tranquil Thicket back, and maybe, if I'm lucky, this is Submissive Pyromancer. I'd happily play either of those, but I gotta take this Saga. And now I am looking for a 1-mana artifact to go get with that Saga. 1 or 0 mana artifact to go get with it, because that would really tie the room together. There's not a Fabled Passage. There's a Rixmatty Reveler. Rixmatty Reveler is also a card that is good in removal tribal, because you just remove all your opponent's stuff until you're Hellbent, then you Rixmatty Reveler and get it all back by drawing a bunch of cards. But that doesn't work with these big spells like Reap the Past, Seasons Past, Mending of Dominaria. You just discard those and you don't get any value off of them. So, Stormbind is a discard spell for fill your deck with nothing but land, Stormbind, and Life from Loam. I'm taking this Fixing Land. That also helps my Life from Loam be better, and we'll see where we go from there. Okay, hard to imagine not taking Golgari Rod Farm here. I mean, obviously, Ranker's really great, but we're not a Ranker deck. Dead Bridge Chant. Yeah, that's not us either. But that's almost us. It's close. Smiting Helix is a really cool card to splash with our white fixing that we have kind of incidentally if we get that back. And we might. People might underrate 4-mana Black Lightning Helix. They shouldn't be, but they might. Okay, now I think we just have to take this Rakdos Carnarium or this Gruul Turf. We just got a Golgari Rot Farm. Yeah, nothing else really in consideration here for me. So which one are we going to take is the question. Black cards. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 black cards. So black is kind of our splash. Red. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Green. 1, 2, 3, 4. I guess we don't have actually that much color equivalence to any specific color. We're kind of split. And how many sources do we have? So 1, 2. Let's do black first, actually. 1, 2, 3, 4. Red sources we have 3. So I want black red because I have heavy green resources. So yeah, I'm taking black red. And then Merchant of the Veil I like here, I think. Combat Courier is for the Urza Saga package, but honestly, I'm not even worried about having an Urza Saga package, as it were. I mean, Prophetic Prism is actually kind of cool in the Urza Saga package too, but it's kind of not... It fixes our mana, but it doesn't do anything else what our deck is doing. We need more discard outlets, I think, to get the most of our Madness spells. So I'm taking Haggle here, I think. Balagad Recovery. You love to see some very low cost of inclusion, redundancy, and safety for our Seasons Past. So I'm going to take that. I hope to wheel this Bituminous Blast, honestly. Because how much removal do we actually have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 removal spells? A couple more here would be good. I would really... Yeah, Death Frenzy. Let's get Death Frenzy on the wheel. That's what I want. Fingers crossed for a Death Frenzy back. All right, Baron Moore is cool. Spider Spawning is not us, but is almost us. Talons of Wildwood. Nope, it's an enchant creature. Ruthless Sniper. So we're just taking Barrenmore. Cycling land, making our life from Malone good. Spikefield Hazard. I like Spikefield Hazard. Can't dome your opponent with Volcanic Salvo. I don't know what to think of. Oh, Scrabbling Claws. There are a lot of graveyard things going on in this environment, so having a single thing to go get with the Urza Saga, I think that's going to beat out Spikefield Hazard. It also just draws a card. It also might be useful in a given matchup. All right, I said I'd get the Tranquil Thicket back, and I did. And that's what I'm going to take, right? Yeah, that can only get permanent cards back, so that doesn't really do it. This is a discard outlet, but not kind of an on-target discard outlet, or on-strategy discard outlet, so we're going to take that. Greenseeker is actually kind of cool how it brings this whole deck together. It's a discard outlet, it's a mana fixer. It is, however, just going to die a lot of the time, I think. I don't think we got there on Stormbind. I mean, Stormbind is cute, but I really don't think this is going to get there. I could just take another bounce land, but it's off color. I'm not playing these blue cards. I didn't get the Maskwood Nexus back, so I guess somebody else is evaluating this cube in a similar way. Ooh, did I just not straight up not see Field of the Dead in this previous pack? That's what we have to take, right? I mean, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, we're just a Field of the Dead control deck now. I do really want this Deadbridge chant. No, I'm sorry. That's not the one I want. I wanted the other one, the big removal spell I didn't get. It's one target creature you don't control gets -2, 2/1/1 green up warrior tokens. That's fine, but I'm just taking this Rot Farm. We're playing it safe. Combat Courier is another thing for the Urza's Saga package versus... Yeah, that does nothing for my deck. And you also are weird and bad. All right. Evolution Charm. Mana fixing. Probably not going to play it, but let's take a look at it. I'm not going to play this either. I think his deck is so cool. I don't think it's that good, to be honest. But I think it's super cool. I'm really excited to play it. This was an exciting draft, to be honest. I think we can play with Caves of Koilos. Well, do we? What do we need the white mana for? Nothing, right? No white mana splash for anything. Let's wait for this to finish up so we can actually make some cuts here. But do we play that just as a differently named land for Field of the Dead? We definitely don't. We have plenty of differently named lands. We're going to have... That's already 14 lands there. Every single one of them has a different name except for 2 Rot Farms and 2 Fabled Passages. And we are going to add 3 different types of basic lands to this list. So... yeah, I'm inclined to cut all manner of just not reliable. Like, this is a 1-mana spell. That's how we're casting this. Let's be real. Javelineer, like, that's just not going to get there. I don't need to win the Gigapede anymore. Greenseeker, I mean, let's think about this a little more. So I'm just playing Let the Galaxy Burn as a board wipe. Because I'm not going to have creatures in play. Well, I will if I guess if I made a bunch of zombies, and it's gonna kill all my zombies. We're not gonna play the caves. We are gonna play the Simic Growth Chamber. Are we gonna play Razor Verge Thicket? Is the question. I think we're probably not gonna play Razor Verge Thicket either. That's a lot for just a differently named land. It's a big cost. We're not playing Glimpse of the Cosmos. So we're not playing Talons of Wild, but we're not going to play Evolution Charm because we're not going to have that many basic lands. Reap the Past goes up here. Grapple with the Past, Life from Alone. Balagade Recovery, so clutch in this deck. So clutch. Fatal Push, Burst Lightning, Lightning Bolt, Haggle. Those are all great. I'm happy to go heavy on lands here. I just want to ramp. Ramp is good. Target card from your graveyard to your hand, one other target card from your graveyard on top of your library. Exile this spell. Yeah, that's just fine. I mean, it's an instant, so I can, I guess, hold other stuff up. Maybe. I'm not going to be doing much other stuff. Let's be real. Mending is good. Okay, so what else? I mean, like, there's some argument to be made for just playing, like, Thunderscape Battle Mage to trade with stuff. Is this an 18 land deck? Is that crazy? Return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. Yeah, I have no targets for that I give a crap about at all. This just is a 1-mana when I sacrifice to draw a card. I could theoretically unearth it with Simic Growth Chamber. It's something. It's also just another artifact to have in play for Urza Saga. But this is just an Urza Saga. Here's our win conditions. And these are, I'm not even really counting Urza Saga and Field of the Dead as lands. So really I'm only at 11 lands right now. And I'm going to add 5 more. So this is actually more like a 16, 17 land deck plus these extra. I think this is maybe the deck. Leaning pretty hard on these removal spells. I wish I had 2 more removal spells. I would love to trade this Green Seeker and this Mindless Automaton. I'd love to trade Green Seeker and Mindless Automaton for 2 more cheap removal spells. That would be sick. I had an opportunity to take a Spikefield Hazard, which would have been really sick, but I took Scarbling Claws instead, and I think that was probably right. The cost of inclusion there is so low. This is what we're going to play, though. So we're definitely adding 1, 1, 1, bare minimum. So our Fabled Passages get our colors. And then we're going to do a little mana math here. So how many black sources do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 black sources. How many red sources do I have? I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Only 5 red sources. So we're adding some more mountains. How many green sources do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, so we're just adding 2 more mountains here. Okay. This is also green land over here, Balagad Recovery. So I got a lot of lands going on. I really like Balagad Recovery with the bounce lands, of which I have quite a few. I have Carnarium, Double Rot Farm, and Simic Growth Chamber. Honestly, bordering on too many. 4 is a lot. 4 is a lot. If I have to discard a land to hand size, though, in my Life from Alone deck, it's probably okay. Can't wait to Life from Alone back Fabled Passages. I really wish I had the Exploration now. This really ended up being a great Exploration deck. What did I take over Exploration? Devastation. I can't remember what it was. All right, so the worst cards here are like Green Seeker, Mindless Automaton. I think Once in Future is probably not necessary. I already have the Balagad Recovery to get back my Seasons Past if I flip it. I could also get Seasons Past back with Reap the Past, or I could shuffle it back in with Mending. So really this is not necessary. I would gladly cut this, this, and this for more removal. And I guess you could argue like Javelineer is removal, but boy is it really expensive removal. Mill 3 cards, you put a non-creature, non-land card into your hand. If you don't, it's just so hard for me to cast, because how many blue sources do I have incidentally? I can't really fit an island in here, I don't think. I need those red sources to cast my burn spells. Because I'm only at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 red sources. It's not good. It's a little sketchy, because that's black and red spells is how I'm staying alive in the early game. So I like that Green Seeker does fix that mana problem a little bit if it needs to. All right. We'll see if we can have enough cheap removal to survive a onslaught from an aggressive deck. That's going to be the question. If we can survive to the late game, I can't imagine any deck's going to have a better late game than we are. We just get to make infinite zombies, infinite constructs. That's so hard for any deck to interact with. We have so much redundancy to keep getting those cards back. It seems like a really... And also, we're just not going to self-mill with Seasons Past and Mending of Dominaria. Like, self-milling would be a real concern with this deck. We're just never going to with those two cards. So we just get to go long all the time. I like this deck. I think it's really sick. I don't think it's that great, but I'm excited to play it. So tune into the channel later this week to see the games from this deck. It's gonna be a spicy one. Thanks for tuning in.